Gildan Media presents, in partnership with Simple Truths, Secrets of the World Class, Turning Mediocrity into Greatness, by Siebold. Read by Erik Synnestvedt. We hope you enjoy this program. Introduction. I have had the privilege of competing against, coaching, being coached by, and observing world-class performers since I was 6 years old. As a junior tennis player competing throughout the United States from ages 7 to 18, I became fascinated with what it takes to become a champion. My dream was to be ranked among the top 10 players in the world, but I fell short. At my best, I hovered around the top 500 in the world, and that's as high as I could seem to reach. Deep down, I knew I had the talent to make my dream a reality, and I knew the missing link was mental. After I hung up my racket for the last time, I became obsessed with uncovering the mental toughness secrets of champions. Starting in 1984, I spent every free moment conducting interviews with champions, reading their books, and studying everything I could get my hands on about the psychology of peak performance. My friends said I was obsessed. They were right. This book is the result of my 20-year obsession. When I started to implement the ideas in this book, my whole life changed. It wasn't overnight, but sometimes it seemed like it. There's no magic here. Just practical thought processes, habits, and philosophies drawn from the greatest performers in the world. This book contains no theories. Every secret comes straight from the street of experience, either my own or that of our clients. This book is loaded with ideas you can implement immediately. Some will be familiar and some new. All of them have the power to catapult your results, no matter how high you're flying. It's been said that speakers and writers espouse wisdom on the very topic they need most. Now that you know my story, you know this is true for me. After 20 years of studying and teaching mental toughness to people throughout the United States, Canada, and 10 other countries, I can honestly tell you that many times I still think like a complete amateur, operating out of the same middle-class consciousness that I ridicule in this book. After all these years, my mental toughness growth is still a work in progress. The good news is that mental toughness is a skill that can be learned, and the tougher you get, the bigger you'll dream, and the more fun you'll have. Siebold. Secrets 1. World-class wealth begins with world-class thinking. If you got out of bed this morning and went to work because you wanted to, you are in control of money. If you got out of bed this morning because you had to, money is in control of you. Even in the wealthiest nation in the world, 99% of the population is being controlled by money. The effect is lack of money. The cause is thinking. Albert Einstein once said, "A problem cannot be solved at the level of consciousness in which it occurs." Knowing this, champions raise their level of consciousness by studying how the world class creates wealth. The middle class believes formal education is the answer to acquiring wealth. Yet very few academics are wealthy. They seek advanced degrees and certifications, and are confounded when these things don't bring them riches. While the great ones are strong advocates of higher education, they don't believe it has much to do with acquiring money. The middle class trades time for money. The world class trades ideas that solve problems for money. Money flows like water from ideas. The middle class often scorns the world class out of frustration over a lack of money. Yet the answer to earning more than they can spend has been in their laps their whole lives. Ideas. It's such a simple concept that the majority misses it. The poverty class talks about and regurgitates the past. The middle class talks about other people. And the world class talks about ideas. Professional performers know money doesn't care which direction it flows. They know the world will bend over backward to make them rich if it will help them solve their problems. About 150 years ago, Karl Marx was sure the working class, as a whole, would rise up and overcome oppression if they had a chance. What Marx didn't figure into the equation was the poverty-driven thought process of the people. Give people operating at middle-class consciousness $1 million opportunity, and they will find a way to make it back to the middle class. It is where their limited self-image tells them they belong. The difference has nothing to do with reality. It's all perception in the mind of the performer. World-class resource. Read You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor. This man knows more about the mind-money connection than anyone alive. I study everything he produces like a scientist. Learn more about him at www.bobproctor.com. Action step for today. Ask this critical thinking question. At what level of monetary success do I feel most comfortable? A. Poverty class. B. Middle class. C. World class. Where you feel most comfortable reflects your self-image, and most likely your current status. If you want to become wealthier, begin by raising your self-image, by upgrading the self-talk you use regarding money and finances. If all you do is chase more money, you are simply attacking the effect. The cause is how you think. And if you improve the cause, the effect will take care of itself. Wealth is the product of a man's capacity to think. Ayn Rand, author, philosopher, 1905 to 1982. Secrets 2. Champions have an immense capacity for sustained concentration. Champions are famous for concentrating their energy and efforts on what they want, and blocking out anything or anyone who threatens that focus. While average people haphazardly pursue loosely defined goals, champions concentrate on the attainment of a singular purpose with the intensity that borders on obsession. World-class performers invest an inordinate amount of time and energy in selecting their major goals. While the masses consider making changes every New Year's Eve, the goal-setting and planning process is an everyday habit of champions. When the goals are set, champions put mental blinders on and move forward with dogged persistence and ferocious tenacity. World-class performers create such an intense level of concentration to overcome challenges and achieve goals that it is the last thing they think about before they fall asleep, and the first thing that hits them when they wake up. The great ones dream about their goals so frequently that they often keep pen and paper on the nightstand so they can quickly record any ideas or solutions that come to them in the middle of the night. While average people see world-class performer successes as a matter of intelligence or luck, champions know sustained concentration of thought and action is usually the true key to their success. World-class resource. Read Focal Point by Brian Tracy. This book is required reading for all mental toughness university clients in corporate America. Action step for today. Write down the single most important goal you want to achieve in the next 12 months and make a commitment to concentrate on achieving it, no matter what it takes. Nothing can add more power to your life than concentrating all your energies on a limited set of targets. Nido Qubein, speaker, author, philanthropist. Sustained concentration is a learnable skill. It's not something you're born with. It's something you develop through daily practice. Secrets 3. Champions are driven by emotional motivators. The masses are primarily motivated by extrinsic motivators, such as material possessions and money. The world class is motivated intrinsically by their dreams, desires, and passions. External motivation is short-lived, while internal motivation is nearly impossible to exhaust until the goal is achieved. The rah-rah, jump-up-and-down motivational pep talks are fun and temporarily motivating, yet lack the real fire emotional motivators generate. World-class leaders know the secret to motivating themselves and others is discovering what they will fight for when the going gets tough. The great ones move from logic-based motivators to emotion-based motivators. They know the key to finding the true power of the individual lies in the deep recesses of the psyche. The process great leaders and coaches use is tedious, time-consuming, and simple. Ask questions, and don't stop until you have landed on the emotional hot buttons. World-class coaches keep digging until they hit the vein of gold, when the performer begins answering in terms of how they feel, as opposed to what they think. When they hit the vein of gold, they continue to probe until the performer reaches an emotional high point, known in performance circles as the white moment. The white moment is the strongest emotional driver of the performer. Coaches use emotional drivers to motivate and inspire performers to push far beyond their threshold of pain, to accomplish feats that, without this level of motivation, would be impossible. Action step for today. Ask these 5 critical thinking questions. 1. What am I willing to fight for? 2. What values do I hold dearest to my heart? 3. What values would I be willing to die for? 4. If I could achieve a single thing, what would make all my hard work worth the struggle? 5. If I had 30 seconds left to live, what would I tell my children are the 3 most important things I learned about how to live a happy life? Your answers will tell you a lot about what drives you emotionally. When a performer begins to experience physical or emotional pain in the heat of battle, the brain, whose primary role is self-preservation, asks the question, "Why must I suffer?" The champion will answer the question with a vision they have carefully constructed, and they will continue to fight. Since the masses lack this mental clarity and have no reason to suffer, they quit as soon as the pain kicks in. Developing a world-class vision is the secret to world-class motivation. Steve Siebold. Secrets 4. The great ones separate truth from fact. While average performers tend to believe truth and fact are the same, the world class knows there is a difference. Champions use their critical thinking skills to make a clear distinction between truth and fact. Fact is reality. Truth is our perception of reality, and perceptions are subjective. One person perceives giving to charity as an expense, while another perceives it as an investment in someone else's life. The fact is that many people give to charity. Whether it's an expense or an investment is a perception. Which line of thinking represents truth? Both. In the minds of individuals, perception equals truth. This subtle distinction allows the great ones to understand themselves and others at a higher level of awareness. The masses tend to operate from truth, which is often a distorted version of facts. Champions make decisions based on facts, not feelings. The world class also uses this understanding of truth and fact in their mental programming. The great ones know the conscious mind functions most effectively on fact, while the subconscious can be programmed with truth. Since the subconscious is unable to make the distinction between fact and truth, champions program their subconscious mind to believe their visions, dreams, and ideas are truths. Because the subconscious doesn't have the ability to reject an idea, it accepts it as truth and begins to create behaviors that are congruent with this new truth. The conscious mind knows this truth is not fact, and tension begins to build between the conscious and subconscious, creating cognitive dissonance. As a result, the two go to work to create congruency. The great ones are not only aware of the difference between truth and fact, but they also know how to use them both to get what they want. Action step for today. Write down 2 things you know are fact and rethink each by asking, is this really a fact or a truth I've created for my own or others' perceptions? For example, is it a fact that the sky is blue? Is it a fact that you are a nice person? Is it a fact that the faithful will be rewarded in heaven? You'll see how often we operate from truth rather than fact. When an event occurs, the brain asks itself 3 questions. What is it? What does it mean? What do I do? If you change the meaning of the event, you automatically change the way the brain responds. Meanings are truths that can be altered. This gives world-class performers ultimate control over their lives. We have to live today by what truth we can get today, and be ready tomorrow to call it falsehood. William James, 1842 to 1910, author. Secrets 5. Champions lead through facilitated introspection. All great leaders know that the most effective form of learning is self-discovery. World-class coaches and managers believe in facilitating the introspective process, which helps people rediscover what they already know. Instead of leadership through the outdated command and control, do it or you're fired model, progressive managers are constantly asking their employees questions and taking careful note of their answers. The great ones know that most people are unaware of what makes them tick in terms of their emotional motivators. The only way to help a person discover the hidden power locked up in their psyche is by asking probing questions. Learning occurs at 2 levels during this introspective process. The first level is when the person digging down inside himself becomes aware of the emotions driving his behavior. And the second is the manager's awareness as it relates to which buttons to push when it's time to motivate his charge to action. Amateur coaches and managers coach primarily through logic. Professional coaches and managers coach primarily through emotion. Since human beings are primarily emotional creatures, it's obvious which method has the most power. Facilitating the introspective process in another person requires patience and time, and the great ones are willing to invest. The amateur wants instant results, but pros know this rarely occurs. The payoff for the pro comes not only in the form of increased productivity, but also in the connection created between manager and employee. Once an emotional creature is convinced that you care about what she thinks and how she feels, it sets the stage for emotional bonding to occur. Managers and leaders who lead this way lose very few of their people to rival companies because of this bond. In the age of the mind, facilitated introspection is the core process of leadership. Action step for today. Invest 20 minutes today leading someone through the introspective process. Your first question should be, tell me what you really want out of life more than anything else. Your goal should be to make the person comfortable enough to answer you in terms of how she feels, rather than how she thinks. Once she begins to explain her feelings, follow up with these questions. What exactly do you mean by that? What does that look like? Why do you feel that way? Tell me more about that. Why is that important to you? What does having that mean to you? The great managers and leaders of the future will know more about their people than ever before. They'll know their emotional hot buttons, as well as the essence that makes them tick. Through facilitated introspection, these leaders will create a competitive immunity for their companies by reigniting the flame of loyalty that burns within their people. Secrets 6. The great ones know they are unaware. Champions have come so far in raising their levels of awareness that they realize there is always a higher level. Average people have a worldview that says being comfortable with who and where they are in life is the key to happiness. The great ones have a worldview that says happiness is learning, growing, and becoming. School is never out for champions. The more they learn, the more they realize how much they don't know. While average people seek mental comfort, the world class believes mental comfort is the death of growth. They live by this phrase: you're either growing or dying. Stagnation does not exist in the universe. Like the child who always asks why, champions always ask questions of other top performers in an effort to get new takes on old ideas. Their ongoing mental growth reinforces their beliefs of other levels of conscious awareness that can make them more successful, more fulfilled, and happier. World-class resource. Get a copy of The Handbook for Higher Consciousness by Ken Keyes, Jr. This timeless classic will provoke you to think at a higher level. Action step for today. Ask this critical thinking question. Am I growing or dying? If your answer is dying, make the decision today to become more aware and begin growing. The ultimate goal of the world-class thinker is to ascend to the highest level of awareness in the shortest amount of time. The more aware you become, the more successful, fulfilled, and happy you will be. Everyone is operating and running their lives at their current level of conscious awareness. Carlos Marin, speaker and author. Secret 7. Champions develop world-class beliefs long before they become champions. One of the major distinctions between average performers and champions is their belief systems. Like champions, average people tend to be a product of their mental programming from childhood. People of influence, such as parents, teachers, coaches, religious leaders, and others, were the primary builders and shapers of our early belief systems. In most cases, this programming is limiting because it comes from people who believe they are limited. That's why average people are saddled with a set of beliefs that are more about survival than success. Average people have been programmed to avoid pain at all costs, which promotes a playing not to lose mentality. Many world-class performers were raised with these same beliefs, yet learned to reprogram themselves somewhere along the way. Champions learn how to develop empowering beliefs and invest a substantial amount of time solidifying those beliefs, mostly through their own self-talk. With guidance from coaches and mentors, champions monitor the words they use. They know reprogramming is a never-ending activity. Some people even consider this process positive brainwashing. When aspiring champions learn they can program any belief they wish, and through repetitious, ongoing self-talk, build that belief into a foundation for their consciousness, it's a revelation. A world-class belief system can be created from scratch, no matter what your age, upbringing, or current lot in life. A world-class belief system is a primary factor in the making of a champion, and every great performer knows it. While average people see champions as more intelligent, the champions know better. The truth is that intelligence plays a small part. Belief is the real star of the show. Action step for today. Make a list of your most closely held beliefs and begin the process of questioning whether they are serving you or holding you back. Question their validity. Are they relevant or out of date? Knowing that behavior follows belief, give yourself an opportunity to discard or upgrade any beliefs that limit you. World-class thinking is a language made of beliefs and philosophies that serve your best interests and open the door to unlimited possibilities. Learn the language and begin to speak it to yourself and others every day. In time, you will begin to believe everything you're saying. Your new behavior will be the product of your new beliefs. They can because they think they can. Unknown. Secrets 8. Professional performers don't require immediate compensation. Most people are fully engaged in microwave thinking, a deep belief that compensation should immediately follow any effort. Champions are different. They believe every effort performed with good intention yields some form of compensation at some point. People become champions by perfecting their competencies until other people label them champion. In most cases, this label took years of hard work and sacrifice to achieve, with little or no apparent compensation along the way. Many of the great ones were ridiculed and criticized for investing so many hours in the development of their core competencies. Not swayed by amateur opinion, they pushed forward aggressively. This delayed gratification set the stage for all future battle plans for achievement in the minds of champions. When professional performers set a big goal, they're expecting a fight, and their past experience has preconditioned their minds for battle. When amateurs expect compensation, pros are just settling in for the fight. Their willingness to delay gratification and compensation makes them more valuable in the marketplace. Action step for today. Ask this critical thinking question. Am I more interested in pleasure or gratification? Amateurs focus on pleasure-based activities that deliver short and sweet payoffs. Professionals focus on gratification-based activities that take longer to achieve, but deliver long and deep payoffs. In which category do you fall? Did you think you could have the good without the evil? Did you think you could have the joy without the sorrow? He who devotes 16 hours a day to hard study may become at 60 as wise as he thought himself at 20. Mary Wilson Little. Secrets 9. The world class operates from objective reality. In 20 years of competing, coaching, and working with performers from various fields, I've discovered most amateurs suffer from mild to severe delusions in relation to their efforts and competencies. In other words, most people delude themselves into thinking they're working harder than they are, and that they are more competent than they actually are. Of the 5 major levels of conscious awareness, poverty, working, middle, upper, and world, my experience has been that performers at the middle-class levels of consciousness suffer the grandest delusions. The poverty level is barely surviving, and living in a very harsh set of circumstances. The working class is punching a mental time clock and counting the days until retirement.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?